welcome to another episode of Woman Witness TV, The Stories at the Well. I'm your host, Leah Fortier. Here on this platform, we bring to you voices of women that are out there making a positive difference and making an impact in their lives, in their families, in the community around them. Today, I have a very special topic. I have a singer, songwriter, and artist that is going to break down the art of storytelling through music. Today, I'm so excited to introduce to you my guest today, Vania, aka V Star. Vania, welcome to the well.
Yes, thank you so much. It's an honor to be on your podcast today.
Well, thank you for joining us. I love what you do. I love your art, and I love the art of music. And you said when you sent us your information, you said that you consider yourself to be a musical storyteller of all sorts, and you love to use your music to tell those stories. That's what it's all about. That is exactly what it's all about. It's all about telling your story in your craft, in your lane. So like for instance, I'm a writer, so I like to write. So I have all kinds of stories telling my story and my truth. And I love the fact that you tell yours through your work and through your musical and you rap as well. Yes, you do, girl. I love listening to your music, and which is why I want to talk to you about it because your music tells your story, your truth. So before we get started, I want you just to start by introducing yourself. Tell us a little bit about who you are, where you're from, and how did you get into music?
My name is Vanya. My artist name is V Star. I grew up in North Carolina in a kind of rural area of town. I have been singing as long as I can remember in my childhood. I've been in all kinds of choirs. I was in the Winston-Salem Children's Choir. I've been in county choirs, state choirs, chamber choirs in college. Eventually, I went to Full Sail University and I earned my Bachelor of Science in Music Production and my Master of Science in Entertainment Business. So, music has been a big part of my life. My father actually also has been very musical. He plays the congas, and my mother, even though she doesn't like to admit it, she is a great singer, and I'm pretty sure that's where I get it from.
Oh, I bet. So I'm pretty sure you grew up listening to your mom sing then. What songs did she used to sing?
A lot of songs in Spanish. I would say a lot of Christian songs, like a lot of worship, and also, just in general, she would just sing lullabies to me when I was younger. So I just got used to hearing her voice, and she has really nice vibrato.
Yeah. I feel like we mimic what we hear, especially if we're hearing it from such an early age. We pick up on some of those different techniques, right? So my mom sings, and I ain't get it. Which is so unfair. I like to say that, but she sings, and when she sings, like sometimes, like I used to always mimic her, and I would always catch myself in the shower, like I'm like, oh, this sounds so good, and then I get out, I was like, ooh, that does not. So I take it that you heard mom singing, you had that musical background, watching your dad play. Did your dad perform in front of people?
Yes, before he came to Christ, he used to play in salsa clubs, and then once he came to Christ, he started playing at his church.
Oh, giving your gifts back to God for His glory. I know that's right. I love it. I love it, love it, love it. Okay, so I want to jump into your journey of your music. How did you get into writing your own music? There's a lot of music out there. When did you decide, you know what, I got to start writing something that I want to hear?
Absolutely. I have been writing just in general, like poetry and songs, since I was like 12 years old. When I turned 15, my father was in the Marines, so we ended up moving to New Jersey, and I came across some folks in my high school that lived with a man that actually was helping out local artists, and he had a recording studio in his home. Somebody approached me. They said, "Hey, we need a female singer. Would you be willing to come and see if you vibe with us?" And I did. I was very afraid, but the guy in charge of the studio, he said, "You know what? I believe in you. I think you have a good voice. I'm going to help you to develop your songwriting skills." And so that's how it all started.
So many times, and I just want to say this because being a writer myself, I wrote a couple of musical pieces. Okay, I mean they're pretty good. I even had somebody sing. But being a writer, and for some people who are listening, some of our listening audience, for whatever reason, if they thought to, you know, become a writer, become an author, that writing process is not easy, right? So tell us some of the struggles that you faced during this process. Was there a lot of like tear soaked pages?
Yes, absolutely. A lot of my biggest challenges in the beginning and somewhat now have been trying to put together a cohesive message
Yeah.
that still sounds good behind music, and also trying to find the right balance between exhibiting and expressing my faith, but also like in a way that attracts not only believers but also non-believers.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. I like that because we are called to the lost. God, Jesus came back for the lost, not for, you know, all the sanctified, saved folks, right? I mean, we go to a doctor. We don't go to a doctor unless we're hurt, right? So I love it, and I hear it in your music. Okay, so I want to start by talking to you about your inspiration behind Brown Girl. I loved it. Let me ask you about the inspiration behind Brown Girl and why you chose to write this particular topic.
Interestingly, I was at Full Sail. I had a music history class, and we had to choose an Irish ballad from the 1600s and make it modern. And so I found one that was called Brown Girl. It was about a brown girl who fell in love with a fair skinned man, and he ended up rejecting her, left her for a fair skinned woman, but she ended up breaking his heart. He turned around and tried to, get back with the brown girl, and she rejected him. She said no. Funny enough, I'll be very vulnerable here, but
Yes, go for it.
my my father who raised me, who
Mhm.
gave me his last name, who taught me everything I know, who has supported me my whole life, he was not my biological father. My biological father was actually a Caucasian man
Mhm.
who was dating my mother, and my mother was actually told that she couldn't have children. She was infertile. She has PCOS, and for the longest time, she prayed to God and she was begging him to be a mother, that she wanted to be a mother so badly. So, she ended up getting together with my biological father. And I came around when she told him that she was pregnant with me. He ended up telling her that he could not marry her and that he could not give me his last name because he didn't know how his family would react to him having a Hispanic baby.
Oh my gosh. Oh my
Yes.
gosh, Vanya. Sorry to hear that.
It's part of life.
Okay, and I heard it in your lyrics, and it's interesting that you found that song, and it related with your real life experience. And far too often, let's just be real, it happens too much. And to be able to be vulnerable and tell your story, I promise you, you will probably find that you're not the only one who can relate to a situation like that. And I feel like there are so many children out there, even today, that are still trying to find their way. I have biracial babies, so I understand you sometimes you don't fit in on this side and sometimes you don't fit in on that side. So you have to just get in where you fit in. That's what I always tell them. Get in where you you gotta make your own lane about here in these streets, right? So
Yes, ma'am.
I love, love, love that topic. I love the fact that you bring that in. And I want to just, I thank you for being vulnerable and sharing with us your personal story. And I want to say, hats off to your mom and big kudos for her faith because I know what it's like to be in a position where you want a baby so bad and something that's so natural to everybody else, you struggling with, right? You're like, Lord, what did I do? Right?
Yes.
And she was blessed with you. So I love that. Love that. Thank you for sharing these messages of hope. Okay, so I want to move on real quick. I want to talk to you about all my life. And in this song, I love it. You did the rapping, you did the singing, you do everything. Okay.
Mhm.
All my life, you said you were searching for the truth. So discuss this song and its connection with your truth.
When I was writing this song, I was actually working with a producer friend who actually went to Full Sail with me as well. And he kind of like put together the music for me and set the tone for the song. Honestly, I have suffered from depression and anxiety since I was a child. Unfortunately, on top of the rejection that I went through from, being born and having someone reject me, I also went through a lot of sexual abuse in the church and outside the church, which was very confusing for me because the church that I grew up in, there were a lot of things that happened that were not okay, especially to young women, and it just kind of had me questioning because they would sweep things under the rug sometimes,
Yeah.
and it almost felt like, it had to do with the reputation of the church and of the community in the church. And so I grew up kind of like questioning, like, God, like, what is okay? What is not okay? Like, why is this happening to me? My innocence was taken away from me very, very young. So it was just a lot happening at one time. So all these questions, when I wrote All My Life, that's kind of like where I went back to was, all my life I've searched for truth, trying to figure out what I'm meant to do, and it wasn't until I turned 28 that I really started the healing process, and the Lord really showed me the reason why I went through all these things and that He allowed them. He didn't want them to happen, but He allowed them for His greater purpose.
Yes. Yes. Oh my God, Vanya, girl. Okay, I gotta take a deep breath because you said a lot, and I want to make sure that we talk about it because I feel, and I feel that sometimes the enemy knows your purpose, and he will get you right where God called you. He doesn't really know the plans that God has for you, but he has an idea. So when you are attacked young, especially in your faith, because the people that was meant to feed you spiritually were hurting you and harming you. So now you are at a crossroads of, who do I believe? What do I believe? Been there. That's my story. And I can tell you, I related to this so much all my life. I've been searching for the truth. Me too. And I remember hearing a pastor say, you got to know God for yourself. And I would always call my mom grew up in church. I was supposed to, I always say this, but it's not my story. We ain't got time. Um, and my mom, I would always call her fact check. And she like, you need to find out for yourself. You need to check for yourself because everything I was told was a lie in my mind. So I can relate to this song. And this is why I feel that when you are speaking truth and you are speaking from your truth, you're more relatable. People can follow you. They can fall in love with the song. I can appreciate your process because you're being vulnerable and you're telling me your story. But this is not about me, so I'm gonna keep going. Girl, I can stay here forever. But this is what it's all about. Now you're taking what you're taking the trauma and the confusion and the depression that you have endured, and you're putting it out there. You're putting it in a relatable song. This is a song that I can listen to and see myself. And I know a lot of young women who probably can listen to this and see themselves as well. Running is your next song, and then healing. But I want to talk to you about running from the past trauma and then healing. How did these two songs come about in relation to your own healing and running process?
Absolutely. So running, I actually wrote as a letter to my younger self before my innocence was taken from me. And so in my mind, I had a picture of me looking into a mirror and seeing me as a child, and me just looking like, I'm running out of time trying to get back to you, back to my innocence, to the core of who I was, who God made me to be before all of these things happened to me. And, even apologizing to myself, like, I'm sorry that I didn't protect you, that I wasn't,
Mm.
I just didn't know any better. When these things happened to me, and I remained silent a lot of the times because I was afraid of the shame and of, people knowing the truth and judging me. So that's what that song mainly is about, is just me trying to get back to who the Lord truly made me to be.
And I heard that. That's so beautiful, Vanya. It is so beautiful, and I want to let our listeners know we will definitely tag the EP in the description below. And you got to listen to her words. And now I can see you in the mirror, and I can see the things that you were saying to your younger self. I can see it. I can see it. I can see it. So thank you for even painting that picture. How did that healing process come about, and how did the song relate to your journey?
Honestly, I went through something that happened in 2020 in September. I was very depressed and I was into a lot of vices. And one of my vices actually got me in trouble with the law. And so I really had no choice but to face myself, face my trauma, face my pain because we were under lockdown and I was also on probation. So I
Mm,
really had my hands tied and the Lord basically told me like this is it, like, I'm giving you the chance to really look at yourself and
mm,
think about what you've been through and what you're going to do about it. Because at
mm,
the end of the day, I had one of my friends tell me, he said, every day you wake up, you have a chance and you have a choice. So what are you going to do? What's it going to be? And
mm,
so I started reading a lot of books about healing. I read The Body Keeps the Score. I read this other book that's called Ready to Heal. And it just tore me to pieces. I literally unraveled during this time. And the Lord really exposed a lot of things in me that were broken that I needed to address. And so, honestly, with all these experiences that I've had since 2020, all of that, kind of built up to the project. And so the song Healing, that's the single on the EP, and that song, I'm kind of like questioning and just like thinking to myself, who would I have been if I had not gone through all these things? If all these individuals who hurt me since I was a child up until now had not actually done what they did to me. And so there's like a love hate relationship with that thought because you know, a lot of people would say, well, I wouldn't want my child to go through any of that. But at the end of the day, I have peace in my soul about it now. And I know that the Lord really chooses his strongest soldiers for the hardest battles.
Ooh, you're right. Vanya, that was good. I believe 2020, I call it a year of leveling the playing field, is what I called it. That's what I called it. And you may say, well, how? I believe God set everybody down. I mean, the virus, come on now. Everybody was set down. It didn't matter where you were, what you thought you were doing, what you thought you had going on. We were all on the same level where people couldn't get in their studios to make music. People couldn't get around other artists to film, to record, to write books, to go to even school. Right? We were all in the same position with the same tools. Some of us may have had bigger audiences, and some of us may have had deeper wells to dig ourselves out of. Let's be real. I can tell you, I was in that position too, Vanya. I can agree with you. I was doing a lot of healing, a lot of self discovery. I was trying to figure out why I was so mad, why I was like, I mean, I felt like I had healed, but I hadn't really accepted it. But during that process, I felt like I accepted it and then started moving forward. So I can relate to that 110%. And I always say this. I said this to another girl. Never feel bad for whatever reason God had to sit you down. You learn from it. You learn from it. It was a blessing in disguise. Thank you, Lord, for sitting me down and letting me listen to your voice because I didn't listen. Tell your story. That's what it's all about, being a witness. Okay. Your next one was I Will Survive. Talk to us, discuss the message behind this one, and I Will Survive and its significance.
Yes. So this song is probably my favorite out of the EP. So this song, I really, really went hard because again, this is during the time that I was studying at Full Sail. I was by myself, away from my parents. I didn't really have any family aside from my grandmother, who actually had just had a mini stroke in my arms a few months before this happened, and I found out she had dementia and all these other things. And I mean, it literally rocked my world. I just felt so much pain and so much guilt just thinking about, oh my gosh, like all my caretakers, including my grandmother, they have fought so hard and she had all these things going on medically, and I never paid attention. I didn't know because she never showed it. And so this song, I really had to look inside myself, and I said, you know what? I'm going to write a letter to the enemy and let him know that he doesn't have a hold on me anymore. I really poured my heart out, just thinking about how much of a hold he did have on me, and all these things that I was attached to, and that I was, I was in spiritual bondage. Thank God for Jesus and breaking me free from that. So that's what that song is really about.
I love that song. I love, love, love that song. That song was so powerful to me because that's what it was really about. Like you are declaring your stance. I will survive. I got this. I can hang in there. I can face it. I'm no longer bound. I'm stepping out in who I'm supposed to be. Love it. That I feel like that's what we're doing. We're being a witness. You will not hold me captive. Okay. Your last song on this EP is Let Go is the name of it. So I want you to talk to us about how you came about letting go. What was your personal experience? How did you get to the point where you said, I'm done? I'm gonna let
So let go is primarily just me kind of talking about the different romantic relationships that I've had in the past, and how I realized that I was so focused on making the other person happy that I didn't realize that I was compromising my own integrity, my morals, the truth that God put in my heart. And I just couldn't do it anymore. It was so draining and so tiring. And I said, you know what? Like, as much as I love you, I have to let go. Like, this is clearly not working, and this is not of God. Like, like I can't do this.
yeah. Yeah. I love that. I think so many of us, whether it's a relationship or a business or just even our past trauma, holding on to that, battling with that, carrying it around, not realizing that it is weighing us down, just letting go. And here I want to tell you my biggest let go or process that I'm even working on today is, especially I think it's because when you are hurt, right? You want to be in control of things. You want to have control. You need to know what's coming and what's going. You want to be able to control it. But being able to fully trust God and let it go is worth it. It's worth it. And I'm glad that you wrote a song to it because I think it's something that we can all relate to. Like I said, whether it's a relationship, whether it's you're a business partner or a business that is draining you. If you need to let it go, you need to let it go. So I love it. Okay, I want to thank you so much for sharing your experiences with us and sharing your EP with us and sharing with us what it is that you are out there doing and how you're making a positive difference. I want to, before we wrap up, I want to ask you, have you written a book yet? No. Okay. Well, you gotta probably take some of those poems and you probably already have a book. Okay, let's just but I want to ask you before we wrap up, one, leave our listening audience with some positivity to take with them throughout the week based on our conversation that we had today.
Honestly, everybody that's watching this, and also specifically the women watching this, just know that we have stories, and a lot of them are ugly. A lot of them expose a lot of negative things that have happened in our lives. But at the end of the day, God has helped us to create and become beauty from ashes. Even though you may not see the end in sight, you may not see the light at the end of the tunnel, just try to keep the faith and just continue to tell yourself, change the narrative. Tell yourself, you know what, I'm going to get through this. God has a plan for me. I may not see it now, but I'm going to keep moving, and the Lord will reveal it to me in due time. And that's really what has helped me get through so far.
Yes, yes, Vanya, that's what it's all about. It is all about one being a witness. Like you said, what you've been through in your past it's only shaping you for your future. And I love when you said change the narrative. Come on. Come on. God already knows the plans that He has for you. And I'm going to tell you right now, Vanya, by you being a witness, by you writing your music and putting it out there, you are creating a path of healing and restoration for many other women who have been in your same position and they're stuck. Like, I think that's one of my biggest things. I want to get people from being stuck, like being in bondage, like we were talking about 10, 20 years. We got to get you out. Come on, sis. We got to get you out. So, Vanya, thank you for going out. Thank you for doing everything that you're doing. Thank you for creating good storytelling through music. Thank you for going after the lost. Come on, that's what it's all about. Thank you for making a path for us all. I appreciate it so much. Tell us where they can find your music and follow you on social media.
My music can be found basically on every music platform: YouTube, Apple Music, Spotify, also on Instagram, Facebook. It's basically everywhere. It's VSTAR, VSTARRR. And then on Instagram, my handle is underscore VSTAR with the three R's X3. So that's where you can find me. If anybody wants to collaborate with me, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'm also a big promoter of other businesses, especially women owned businesses and businesses that are related to our faith. And again, it's been an honor to be on your podcast, Leah, and just know that I am definitely a supporter of your podcast as well.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, Vanya. You are so beautiful inside and out. Thank you so much for your music. Thank you for everything that you're doing. Thank you for making a path and helping other women as well. So I appreciate everything that you do. Okay, thank you so much, ladies, for listening to another episode of Woman Witness Podcast. Thank you, Vanya V Star. Please follow her. We will leave all her information in the description below. If you were blessed by this podcast episode, if you know a sister who can benefit from it, we ask that you send it to them. We ask that you like, you subscribe, you get out there, get Vanya's music. I promise you it will bless you and it will bless other women in your lives if you feel that they can benefit from it. So thank you so much again, Vanya. Until next time, perhaps you were chosen for such a time as this to tell your story, your truth. Until next time, bye bye.